his 90th birthday. Subsequently, an annual lecture series was held here, and as a token of appreciation, by the way, and to immortalize the noble birthday. Subsequently, token of wait a minute. Breaking transmission. What happened? Okay. As a token of appreciation and to immortalize the lecture series was established and has consistently been held the last 3 years, which we are attending the 3rd edition today. The first edition was held on the 19th of February, 2020, and the lecture was eloquently delivered by Mr. Bode Augusto and was titled Realities of University Education in Nigeria. Are we ready for the 4th Industrial Revolution? The chairman of the first lecture was Chief Bayojo, SAN. He was the former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, who became our guest speaker at the 2nd lecture series titled Reinforcing and Safeguarding a Sustainable Union. Interestingly, the chairman of the 2nd lecture was Dr. ABC Orjiako, OFR, then chairman of Seplat Energy, PLC, who today is our guest lecturer. Thank you, Brian. A pattern seemed to have been established for the chairman of the lecture series to, to become the guest speaker in the following year. Perhaps, I don't know, perhaps they will oblige us and deliver the 4th lecture in 2023. I must say that the board and the management, they've been very, very good, efficient at selecting our chairman and the guest lecturers. So I hope that pattern will be sustained going forward. So, Chairman, the title of this year's lecture is Global Digital Transformation and the Nigerian Paradox. And our guest lecturer, as I said earlier, is Dr. ABC Orjiako, my OFR, former chairman now of Seplat Energy PLC. The title is quite topical and speaks to the vision of the center as a digital research laboratory. I'm sure that today's lecture, like the previous ones, will be instructive, informative, and very insightful. So I wish to use this medium to appreciate the Vice Chancellor, who is unavoidably absent, Professor Ogundipe, but ably represented here by Professor Obinachukwu, and all the friends of the center for their generous contributions and donations. I wish to really appreciate Dr. ABC Orjiako, especially. He's been very, very supportive of this center. He has given his time, given his money, he's giving us prayers. Brian, thank you very much. This morning, he made a very generous donation to the center, which we duly appreciate. Thank you for all that you do. We appreciate you. Thank you. And I will not end. Also, I wish to commend the management under the able leadership of Dr. Ipaye for
kind permission of our benefactor, I just quickly, for a minute, appreciate some of our deans and some of the top dignitaries that we have here at the University of Lagos. I see the Dean, Faculty of Arts, Professor Adibe, a round of applause for her. Professor Bameke, Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, a round of applause for her. Faculty of Chemical Sciences, Professor Folashade Akinshola, a round of applause for her. Former Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and Research, Professor Oluwole Familoni, FAS. And I forgot to add, I'm sorry, that Professor Folashade Akinshola was a former DCDS. She was the first. Everything she does is always first. A round of applause for her. Thank you very much. Development Services. I see Professor Timothy Mubi. I see Professor Ngozi Osayere. I see Professor Nwokuma. And I see, even if he's trying to bend his head, I see you, Professor Mike Adibamo, and of course, Professor Solomon Akinde. And I recognize all members of the fourth estate of the realm and not of the rec. You are duly recognized. At this juncture, I respectfully want to invite Professor Mission Obana Chiku, the representative of the Vice Chancellor, to deliver the remarks by the Chief Host. Let's give him a round of applause. Chief Arthur Mbanefo, MFR, CON, our benefactor, the Pro-Chancellor of Pro-Chancellors, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Development Services, Professor Ayodele Ashenua, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and Research, Professor Bola Obo, both of whom have given their due apologies as they are on national assignments. The Registrar of the University, Oladejo Aziz, Esquire, the Bossa, Dr. Leko Lawal, the University Librarian, Professor Mrs. Yetunde Zaid, the Provost of the College of Medicine, Professor David Oke, Director of Academic Planning, Professor Mopelola Ayoka Olushaki, Director of Quality Assurance, Professor Grace Otinwa. The chairman of today's occasion, Dr. Yemi Kadoso. The guest lecturer today, Dr. ABC Orjiako, and his dear wife, Dr. Henrietta Orjiako. The chair of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Ernest Ebi, and the co-chair, our former Deputy Vice Chancellor, DS, Professor Folashade Ogunshola, member of the Board of Trustees here present of the Arthur Mbanefo Digital Research Center, the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, actually the immediate past, Professor Rahman Adebelo, the former Deputy Vice Chancellor of Management Services, Professor Duro Oni, the immediate past Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academics and Research, Professor Oluwole Familoni, the deans of faculties here present, the directors here present, especially the Director of AMDRIC, Dr. Taiwo Ikpaye, the heads of departments here present, friends of AMDRIC, members of the university community, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press. I hope I can now stand on the existing protocols. On behalf of the 12th Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, Professor Oluwatoyin Ogundipe, Fellow of the Academy of Science,
I welcome you very warmly to the third Arthur Mbanefo lecture series holding today, Friday, June 10th, 2022. Today's event is also an opportunity for us to celebrate our benefactor, Chief Arthur Mbanefo, MRCON, Odu of Onitsha, who will clock 92 years tomorrow by the grace of God. Permit me to quote from the scriptures, Psalm 90, verse 12. So teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. There is no doubt that Chief Arthur Mbanefo has applied his heart unto wisdom in different aspects of life. And today, he is a shining example, worthy of emulation by all of us. Our prayer today is that may the good Lord grant him many more healthy years and peaceful years in the land of the living. Amen. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me remind us that Chief Mbanefo, in his wisdom, formally bequeathed the center to the university management on the 11th of June, 2020, when he turned 90 years. And the university has been relentless in our efforts to key into the vision by improving on facilities that was handed over to us. This lecture series is an initiative of the management of the center and is born out of the desire to appreciate his laudable gesture and to also immortalize him. I wish to place on record the fact that the university management and several other friends of the university have contributed meaningfully to the development of the center 10 times. University management provided 6-number HP all-in-one desktop computers for the e-library. And this was further augmented by a donation from the Bank of Industry that gave us 14 units of HP of all-in-one desktop computers, 2 upright air conditioners, 4 Shure microphones, 4 dozen of plastic chairs and tables for cafeteria services at the center. All these are geared towards improving the ambience of this auditorium where we are here today. The management of the university continues to supply the center with diesel. Recently, we addressed the water problem by providing additional overhead tanks, as well as replacing some of the broken marble tiles in the courtyard. Let me also appreciate some of our benefactors, especially the Olajumoke, for his generous donation towards the hosting of this lecture series. And the chairman of the board has also graciously informed us this morning of a handsome donation of 5 million naira by Dr. ABC Orjiako, our guest lecturer today. Please let's give him another round of applause. The chairman of the board has actually gone through the trajectory of the lecture series. Let me just say that this third lecture of today, which will be delivered by Dr. ABC Orjiako, OFR, former chairman, Seplat Energy PLC, and who happened to be the chairman of the second lecture. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I believe that by the end of today's lecture, there will be a better understanding of the topic titled Global Digital Transformation and the Nigerian Paradox. This lecture series has provided solutions to some of the challenges facing our dear country and the education sector in particular. It has also attracted a lot of personalities from all walks of life. At this juncture, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, let me express our deep appreciation to the chairman of today's occasion, Dr. Yemi Kadoso. We will also implore that as the program is finishing today, he will start putting together his lectures for the fourth lecture in 2023, as this tradition has already been established. Let me also appreciate other distinguished guests, the university management staff of the university, for honoring our invitation. I must not fail to appreciate members of the AMBRIC board, ably chaired by Mr. NSTB and managed on a day-to-day basis by Dr. Taiwo Ikwaye, our former registrar, for their contributions and development of the center. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our dear benefactor, Chief Arthur Mbanefo, the Order of Onitsha, on behalf of the 12th Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, I thank you all for your presence here for this third lecture. Kindly sit back and enjoy this thought-provoking lecture. Thank you and God bless you.
Those no need to be an olivatrist who like to ask for more. And it will be out of place if you give Professor Lucy Onobinachukwu, representative of the Vice Chancellor, another round of applause. The next person I'll be inviting is projecting and postulating that he will be the next guest lecturer for the fourth lecture series. But today is occupying the position of the chairman. But before I invite him, I just want to let you know a bit about who Dr. Olayemi Kadoso is. Dr. Olayemi Kadoso is the chairman, board of directors, Citibank Nigeria. He is also a financial and development expert with over 30 years experience in the private, public, and not-for-profit sector. The erudite scholar is a member of the Belgium-based Cities Alliance, think tank which aims to shape and influence policy and decision-making on urban development in Africa. Dr. Kadoso has served on the board of several leading companies, among which are Texaco and Chevron Oil PLC. In addition, he has a very strong relationship with key international donor agencies. Dr. Kadoso consults on financial and development affairs and is also an advisor to the Urban Metabolism Group of MIT in 2017. Based on his intimidating resume, inspiring personality, and more importantly, his administrative skills, he was awarded an honorary doctorate degree in business administration by his alma mater, Aston University, in recognition of his outstanding contributions to business and society. Distinguished guests, it's my singular honor and pleasure and delight to respectfully invite to this podium the chairman of this occasion, Dr. Olayemi Kadoso.
Thank you very much. Thank you. If you see me during the course of this lecture, paying a great deal of attention to my iPad, just know I am preparing for next year's lecture. When my assistant got in touch with the center about today's lecture, a number of things were said. And I think towards the end of that discussion, there was one particular thing that was emphasized. And that was, please tell your chairman that for goodness sake, he shouldn't come late. I have been very privileged over the years to work with Odu. In title, I was the chairman of the Citibank, but in fact, he was the chairman when he was on the board. And you never got there late. So please, just know that I get it. But in addition to that, I want to say that so you don't get there late, you don't run overtime. And happily, I think we all have a copy of the program for today, and I think we are running late. So Odu, I will try as much as possible, since I'm the chairman of the occasion, my birthday gift to you will be to try as much as possible to stay within the time we have left, so that we don't run too foul and give you a befitting entree into your birthday tomorrow. Chief Arthur Mbanefo, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor. Our guest lecturer today, the chairman of the center, and all the distinguished board members of that center, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will please crave your indulgence to stand on existing protocols. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to this lecture in honor of the birthday anniversary of Chief Arthur Mbanefo, former Pro-Chancellor of this great institution, former Ambassador Plenipotentiary of the United Nations, a lover of advancing the cause of academia, an outstanding Nigerian and statesman, and a chartered accountant of great note. I am most pleased to be part of this important event. It is noteworthy, and it's been spoken about before, that we have had two outstanding lectures over the years. In particular, I would like to thank the University of Lagos for accepting to host this event in an academic enclave such as this. In addition, of course, I would like to thank the members, the chairman and members of board of the center for being able to deliver this lecture series in a continuous basis and of such high standard. I would also like to express special appreciation to the Odu himself for gifting this world-class, fully furnished digital center to the university. We all can attest, and really, I wish more Nigerians would do this. We know the limitations on resources worldwide, and particularly with respect to institutions like this, and it is to Odu's, it is to the benevolence of Odu that he decided to give this. This contribution obviously will go towards expanding the frontiers of higher education and cannot be taken lightly. Of course, I'd like to thank all who have so graciously accepted to grace this occasion in honor of this outstanding Nigerian. Friday, so many other things you could be doing with your time, but you decided to come here and be part of this event. And I notice that this is what happens every single year. And I commend all of you for doing this. Chief Arthur Mbanefo, as we all know, is the supreme embodiment of service. And it is fitting that he has published a book, A Fulfilled Life of Service, which not only details in brilliant but somber colors his early years, his education, his life as a diplomat and ambassador, especially during the Biafran Civil War and thereafter, but the issues, the things which beleaguer Nigeria as a state, especially with respect to the creation of states, really. So I would heavily commend that to those of you who may not have read it. He employs his ingenuity to all tasks set before him with precision and gravitas, with grace and sensitivity. And his book, and indeed his life, shows that he richly deserves to be celebrated. I want to say that when I was asked to come to chair this occasion, of course, I didn't know that it went with having to deliver the next year's guest lecture, but that's... my response at the time, and I quote, I said, it is an honor. And why won't it be? Why won't it be an honor to come here and chair the occasion in honor of a man who stands for certain things? Now, you look at him on the outside, always well-dressed, well-mannered, consummate professional, not nonsense person. But on the inside, he's very gentle, very kind. Incredible sense of humor. An incredible sense of humor. Why won't I want to be part of an event in honor of a man who has done so much for Nigeria? Why won't I want to be part of an event that honors a man who is a bridge builder? And let me tell you what I mean by a bridge builder. During the period that Odu was on the board at Citibank, and I may have mentioned this thing before, but I will say it again. We had the exit of the older people, and we had younger people like myself come in, and we all, the younger ones, wondered, how do we deal with a man who has such intimidating credentials? but not at all. He was, in fact, the bridge builder between the old and the young. He was old, he understood the young, and when we say he was old, try and shake his hand and see how old he is. And that went in no small way to aid the development and transition of for want of a better word, power within the organization. And we are very grateful to him for that. Very grateful. Why won't I want to be part of the celebration of a man that stands for integrity? Before he left, he resigned. He wasn't asked to leave, he resigned. His time was not up, but there was a particular issue with respect to the central bank, which he disagreed vehemently on. And much as we tried to get around that problem, we could not. And his response to that was to say, well, look, he doesn't agree with this, and to the extent that he doesn't, he's leaving the board. Not many Nigerians do that. So, Odu, and to the board members, I thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, as I said. And my prayer is that we will come here with many more years ahead to continue to celebrate you. After my lecture. I started talking about time, and I know this is it. So in closing, I need to definitely talk about our guest speaker, who needs no introduction, quite frankly. A consummate professional businessman, Dr. ABC Orjiako. And in Yoruba, we always talk about aburos. I will say he's the aburo to Odu. He's one of his aburos. Am I right? He's one of his aburos. So, and I noticed that in his book, he actually did mention and thank you for your contribution. So, yes. Former chairman who has stepped aside, and not stepped down, but stepped aside, of Seplat Energy Limited, the leading indigenous Nigerian oil and gas exploration and production company with a strategic focus on Nigeria. They will introduce him shortly. And of course, I must commend him because it's a brand that has expanded in leaps and bounds over the years in this country. He, in this lecture, will be dissecting the rather bold topic. And I hope I can be as bold as you and I do my own. The global digital transformation and the Nigerian paradox. And when I say as bold as you, is because we know you for what you are. And for you to take this topic, which is not necessarily in your, but it's good because basically what you're doing is showing what the possibilities will be for a center like this. And we thank you for that. You're not being selfish about it at all. So thank you so much for that. I enjoin everybody to pay attention to this insightful and stimulating lecture, as it will be addressing salient points on the global digital transformation as it concerns and impacts Nigeria. Thank you once again for gracing this occasion in honor of Chief Arthur Mbanefo, the Odu of Onitsha.
Sir, gentlemen, it says an honor to recognize of a distinguished senator in our midst. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in recognizing our distinguished senator, Dr. Orjiako. You're most welcome, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman had given
a brief citation about our distinguished guest lecturer. So I think what I have to do might just be an override of what we already know. Ladies and gentlemen, about to present the third lecture on digital transformation and the Nigerian Paradox is a gentleman called Arthur Orjiako, MFR. We are for academy. State. He was born on the 1st of October. Even though an Igbo man, but brought up in Calabar, Cross River State. He had his early childhood education. Virtually everything Dr. Orjiako touched, like the saying goes, turns to gold. He is a trained medical practitioner who had a paradigm shift from the medical profession to the business sector as far back as 1996. He invested in the oil and gas sector when he co-founded Seplat Energy PLC, formerly Seplat Petroleum PLC, in 2009 with Austin Abdul, a business that has estimated net worth of $1 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Orjiako, standing before you, was invited by the London Stock Exchange. As you heard, he did the Carbon Bell, which is an honor indeed. He is the founding member of the London Stock Exchange Group of African Advisory Group. Selected group of working to resolve the commercial and social issues affecting Africa. In of May 2022, he retired as the chairman, Seplat Energy PLC, formerly known as Seplat Petroleum. Some of the awards which he has to his credit, he has several. He is a distinguished alumnus of and a Doctor of Science honoris causa by the University of Calabar, the Purple Knighthood of the Order of St. Gregory's the Great, in recognition of the service to humanity and the Roman Catholic Church, Pope John Paul II. The Platinum Award of West African College of Surgeons, national honors was conferred on him in 2012. He also has to his credit the Zik Prize in the Professional Leadership category by the Public Policy Research and Analyst Center. He also has the African Business Executive of the Year by the Oil and Gas Council in 2014. He is a philanthropic person who, through his foundation, in honor of his late father, Chief Daniel O. Orjiako, has executed numerous programs in rural Nigerian communities in education, healthcare services, and economic empowerment through agriculture, which is aimed at providing welfare and breakthrough in the poverty cycle. Dr. Orjiako loves sports. I think with his stepping aside, like the chairman mentioned, his love for a very good football team. I'm sure he'll be wondering how I got to know. He was the former chairman of Rangers Football Club, formerly known or still known as the Flying Antelopes. I guess during his tenure,
he was able to put the football team in the stock exchange. And I think that's about the only football team that we have in the stock exchange in Nigeria, and has a net worth of about $115,000 there. A round of applause for him, please. Ladies and gentlemen, he also plays chess and tennis. Dr. Orjiako still looks very young. So also is his amiable wife, Mrs. Henrietta Orjiako. They are both blessed with 2 boys and 2 girls. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, here to present his lecture, Dr. ABC Orjiako. A round of applause for him, please.
Timmy, I'm so thoroughly flattered. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's afternoon, and we're running slightly late. Quite frankly, like the chairman, I'm indeed deeply, deeply honored and privileged. I'd like to thank all of you for your very kind words. But let me say that apart from standing on existing protocols, I must, like the chairman of the Arthur Mbanefo Digital Research Center, say 1 or 2 things about the dignitaries who are here. Let me also say that the chairman of this center is a master in succession planning. So when he told me last year that I'll be the guest speaker this year, having been chairman, and he's replicated the same thing over and over. So I'd like to thank Mr. AB for giving me 1 whole year. But let me also say that I'm not as smart as Dr. Kadosu, because he has started preparing now. I took 1 year to be a very long time, and I didn't prepare for 1 year. So, but having said that, it's indeed a great honor and privilege to be speaking about the digital transformation, and in honor of a very great Nigerian. It's my honor and pleasure to further recognize His Excellency Ambassador Chief Arthur Mbanefo, CFA, MFR, CON, the Odu III for Nature. The chairman of the event, Dr. Yemi Kadoso, and the chairman of Citibank. I'd like to recognize you and pay my respect. Mr. Ernest Abi, MFR, who is indeed my big brother, who is the chairman of the board of the Arthur Mbanefo Digital Research Center. Mr. Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, great Akokites. Let me also say that my wife is an Akokite. I'm a Malabite, but I did have a brush with the Akokites when I was in Luth. But having said that, it's my honor to thank the chief host and respect him and indeed recognize Professor Chukwu, who is representing him, and as well as the members of the principal officers of this university, other members of the board of this center. And let me use as a reference point Senator Dr. Bode Olajumoke as a reference point to thank and respect all of the Odu's friends who are here in our midst, and as well as also for when we came in, Odu looked for his bag and handed it over to a young man who, not by me, but by Odu, and this is a member of his old schools of St. Patrick's, Dr. or Mr. Okolo. Let me also thank you, recognize the members of Mbanefo family, who I see one of them here. Frankly, they have done great things, and that's why I must recognize them for giving Nigeria a person, someone in the person of Odu Mbanefo. Now, the topic for today, really, even myself, when I reflected on why I chose this topic, I didn't quite have a landing because I'm not an expert, and I think the chairman of today's occasion has made it lighter for me. I'm not an expert here, but really why I chose this topic is, one, is to reflect the dreams of the man of the moment, and secondly, to basically provoke thoughts in our minds about digital transformation and what it represents for the global economy, and indeed highlight the paradox in Nigeria, which is indeed important. that should become the wake-up call for us to embrace what it really represents. I know that my time is 55 minutes. Once I reach 50 minutes, please give me the T sign. Okay, thank you. I will start with some historical background about technology. Technology and innovation have been the major drivers of human advancement and development, starting with agricultural revolution. And I'm not going to give you all of these details. Now, quickly to the first industrial revolution. 1960 to 1830 was largely confined to Britain and was driven by the proliferation of knowledge and invention of machinery. Unfortunately, Nigeria and indeed all of the rest of the African countries were in the throes and of harrowing transatlantic slave trade at this time of history, and so did not participate. Second Industrial Revolution, 1870 to 1914, witnessed the expansion of electricity, petroleum, and steel. And again, it would appear that Africa was missing in this party in terms of taking advantage of the revolution in socioeconomic development and advancement. And of course, Africa at the time was being colonized by the European superpowers. Third Industrial Revolution, now in the 1960s to up the way to 2005, featured the shift from mechanical and analog to digital and electronics and adaptation of proliferation of computers, the internet, social media, smartphones, digital television, and the rest. At the onset of the third industrial revolution, Africa was preoccupied with independence movement that swept across the continent. In just 2 centuries, the Industrial Revolution globalized the economy with new forms of energy, organization, production, distribution, and capacity that propelled industrialized country into a golden age of prosperity. Africa had essentially missed the opportunities of the second and third industrial revolution. It should appear that Africa was dealt the bad hand by the events of the past centuries and the attendant on the development of the continent. However, there appears to be an opportunity for Africa and indeed Nigeria for the fourth industrial revolution. Frankly, what it really means is that every underdeveloped country, every country, and including Nigeria, has an opportunity to leapfrog and indeed skip most of the developmental misses. And this is one of the paradoxes I'll be highlighting and how Nigeria should wake up to this. But the fourth industrial revolution is well underway with new knowledge and technology-driven economy emerging. From the onset of the agricultural revolution in the 10,000 BC, it took 6,000 years to double the global GDP. When the Industrial Revolution started in the mid-18th century, it took 100 years to replicate similar GDP growth. With the computer age revolution in the 60s, the time required to double the GDP was just merely 15 years. The fourth industrial revolution, the digital smart factories, cities, and entire economy connected to internet has demonstrated that the rate of positive change in technology advancement will continue to accelerate. Indeed, it's expected that it's no longer going to be 15 years, but indeed it's going to happen even faster. And you'll see as time goes on in this lecture, what impact digital technology is having. One common denominator for the industrial revolutions is the knowledge and its application through technology. And this manifests in fourth industrial revolution as digital transformation. Digital transformation in itself is the integration of the digital technology into all areas of human existence, fundamentally changing how businesses and public sector operate in order to deliver enhanced value to customers and to society at large. Studies have shown, and this is World Bank studies, have shown that digitization influences economic growth exponentially. The digital economy today is about 15.5% of the global GDP size, which is almost 100 trillion. But what is more remarkable is that digitization has been growing at 2.5 times faster than the global economy itself. Now, with the size of the global digital economy being over 11 trillion, what this means, and if you take linear arithmetic, What this means is that if the 11 trillion is growing at 2.5 times the growth of global economy, which is an average of about 4, it means that a year-on-year growth of the digital economy will be about 10%. That means every year you're looking at about $1 trillion in growth, just the growth year on year. And this is really a party that Nigeria and Africa must not miss. Because if you look at the size of Nigerian economy, and we miss this with all of the opportunities that we have, we will have ourselves to blame. So I thought I should highlight that. In this paper, I would like to highlight the advances in digital technology across the world and the contributions of these technologies to the global digital transformation. I will also evaluate the Nigerian digital advancements, the challenges of digital technology advancement in Nigeria, and the options for the advancement of the digital revolution in Nigeria. The situation where enormous Nigerian talents are either wasted or channeled into negative attributes of fraud, the Yahoo boys, unfortunately, or inadequate policy framework to harness the opportunities in digitization in Nigeria represents a paradox. The transformational economic growth that digitization brings will elude Nigeria if the paradox persists. It is for this reason that the Arthur Mbanefo Digital Research Center initiative must be commended and propagated throughout Nigeria and in African continent. The colossus of a statesman, Chief Arthur I. Mbanefo, the Odo Onitsha, who dreamt and established this center, must be commended for knowing and telling the future. The paper is therefore a privilege for me to be counted as a voice in what Chief Mbanefo started. Thank you. Let me just take a little bit of your time and give a little portrait of Odu Mbanefo. Let me also say that the chairman knows Arthur very well. In fact, he made my work very simple. Okay, His Excellency Ambassador Chief Arthur C.I. Mbanefo, Odu III of Onitsha, CFA, MFR, CON, is an accomplished professional, a distinguished accountant, an ambassador plenipotentiary, an astute corporate guru, a statesman, a patriot, and a global citizen, a traditionalist and custodian of culture, a philanthropist, an intelligentsia, an academic luminary, a consummate diplomat, a fine gentleman, and very many more. Frankly, in his book, which I was privileged to have been the reviewer at his instructions, I must say that there are some very important quotes I would like. There are too many of them, but I just highlighted a few that will just point and tell you who this man really is. And I'll start with the one by Chief Joram Udoji. He says, and this was on his appointment as the chairman of State Creation and Local Government and Boundary Adjustment. He says, congratulations on your appointment as the chairman of the State Creation, Local Government and Boundary Adjustment Committee. The appointment is in recognition of your ability, integrity, and objectivity. Please keep them up, for you are doing us proud. This is one of the greatest services he did to the nation. And then the next is by President Olusegun Obasanjo. He says, and all of these are from his book. And like the chairman, I recommend that you get a copy of this book. If you check online, I think it's about 5,500 Naira. And you would not regret reading this book. And he says, I appointed him to head the Nigerian mission at the United Nations because he was the combination of such critical qualities that make a good and effective representative of the country in the Committee of Nations. With him, you will always know where you stand. I'm sure those who know Odu will agree with this. He is firm, courageous, and nationalistic. There are many good and great Nigerians in this country, but there are not very many people of his type around. This is President Olusegun Obasanjo. The next is by His Excellency late Kofi Annan. The chief has a strong presence and authority, absolutely correct. He analyzes issues very critically and has the capacity of going to the core of the issues, which is very useful in an environment where one hears a lot of debates. It is always important to have someone around that can capture the core of issues. And then the last quote I have was my immediate predecessor in giving this lecture. I thought I should read this. It says, a great bequest to someone who has occupied a frontline position in administration of nations' national life in his era. This is by Bayo Ojo, SAN, former president, Nigerian Bar Association, and former Attorney General of the, and my immediate predecessor in delivering this lecture. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on a personal note, and the chairman of the Digital Research Center said it, quite recently I was honored by the London Stock Exchange to, ring the opening bell of the market. It's a real great honor. But then I was asked, and this was preceding to this honor, I was asked about how I was able to achieve all of the things I did. And I said, well, it's the grace of God, plus I learned from the masters. Arthur Mbanefo is a guru of corporate governance. Anyone who has not passed through him has missed so much. Everything I know today in Seplat at the board, even as a chairman, I was writing notes. I was writing reports to the board. I learned from Odu. And you can never go wrong. In fact, when I look back, I have now put this into a booklet, which I call my Seplat Odyssey, which I'll hand over to the board. But I learned from Odu. There are very many ways he has touched lives. For me and my family, I do owe Odu a lot of gratitude. It is true that I have been associated with him for very many years, but each time I interacted with Odu, I must have something to learn. In fact, in those days, I used to say, I will not go to Odu without pen and paper, because if you go without pen and paper, you are going to lose so much. Tomorrow will be his 92 years on this earth. I join others in congratulating him. He has become a nanogenarian. Frankly, the Bible says, and I think the Vice Chancellor spoke about it, Psalm 90:10. It says, for those 70 years, for those who are strong, 80 years. But if you also check, in Genesis 6:3, the Lord says, I'll give them 120 years. So we're celebrating Odu as a nanogenarian. We're looking forward to celebrating him as a centenarian, and indeed a super centenarian. I say this because his late father was 96. And in medical research, there is a particular gene that's called the longevity gene. I'm sure Odu has that in abundance. The next thing about Odu and this longevity is the environment and lifestyle. These are the three components that make people live long. But one of them, which Odu has, again, more than many other people, is his discipline and his nature of his lifestyle. So Odu, we have too many things to learn from you, but by God's grace, we're praying for many more years in good health and sound mind, like you've always had, to continue to touch lives. Congratulations and happy birthday in advance. Thank you. Then continuing on the topic, advances in digital technology and the fourth industrial revolution. Digital transformation is driven by advances in digital technology. Digital technology began in the 50s with the invention of two very important pieces of technology, the semiconductor, transistor, and microchips. The inventions enabled the third industrial revolution. The third industrial revolution by itself, also known as the digital revolution, is the shift from the mechanical and analog electronic technology to digital technology. And of course, later half of the 20th century, with the adoption and proliferation of digital computers and digital record keeping, that continues to the present day. The origin of the digital revolution can be traced to the period between 1947 and 1969. This period marks the development of the underlying theory of digitization by Claude Shannon in the 1948 paper he presented, which he called the mathematical theory of communication. The first working transistor was invented by John Baden and Walter Braden, and this led to the advanced digital computer technology. This period saw universities, military, and business development using computer systems for digitally replicating and automating previously manually performed mathematical calculations and functions. And I think I'm not going to bore you with all of these, but I'll just quickly fast forward and give the salient points that has really happened in the digital transformation in the world. And then the period 1969 to 1989 saw the invention of the internet and the rise of the home computers. The predecessor of the modern day internet was called the ARPANET. The first message was sent out the ARPANET in 1969. The period saw the development of video games, automated teller machines, digital cameras, industrial robots, bulletin board systems, electronic music, and GGI, the computer-generated images, etc. 1989 to 2000, the World Web and mainstream of the internet was then the landmark that developed the digital technology. This period also saw the first public digital high-density television broadcast of the 1990s World Cup. The GSM, the global system and mobile communication cell phones, were widely available by the early 2000s. We can all recall the advances the GSM has done in Nigeria, where it has driven the teledensity in Nigeria from less than 4% to over 90-something% in today's Nigeria. By the year 2005, this has been the advent of the smartphones, digital televisions, social media, and high-resolution video games. We have also experienced the socio-economic impact of the third revolution, and these include easier communication, easy access to information that enhance trade and e-commerce, increasing productivity and the rest. The downside of the revolution, as we have seen, include data privacy, copyright, trademark issues, use of new media by criminals and the terrorist group, as well as the news dissemination amongst others. Fake news, I beg your pardon. We are now firmly in the fourth industrial revolution, where digital smart factories, cities, and the entire economies are connected to the internet. One key feature of the digital transformation is the disruption of traditional way of doing business and the status quo. Another feature is the creation of value that is intangible and novel. Some apt examples of the fourth industrial revolution will be highlighted as follows. One, the Amazon that effectively changed the shopping forever. It is interesting to note that Amazon is actually a technology company that created a platform to disrupt the retail business. Amazon today is worth $1.3 trillion in business today. Larry Pang and Brian created Google, a search engine that effectively changed how we source information. Google disrupted the traditional advertising, newspapers, maps, businesses, to name a few. Google is now worth $1.5 trillion. Steve Jobs and Ronald Wayne created Apple in 1976. Interestingly, on April Fool's Day. This technology in fact, the way technology works, you think that it's really April Fool. This technology company started with personal computers as first, and indeed they started in their garage, the Apple I, and today they are diversified into iconic iPhones, iPads, wearables, and home accessories, as well as services. Apple became the first publicly traded US company to be valued at beyond $1 trillion. Today, it's worth $2.08 trillion. The founder of founded by Bill Gates and Paul Allen in 1975, Microsoft is the foremost computer software company in the world. The company provides software and then consulting and products and solution support services, as well as training for computer systems integrators and developers. As of June 2022, this company is worth over $2 trillion. Mark Zuckerberg and Severin Andrew McCollum and the rest of his team founded the Facebook. Today, we know how this is growing in leaps and bounds. Fast forward to what you have today, these Twitters and Zoom. Zoom, again, many people have continued to call virtual communication Zoom, but this is the name of the company. This, again, within a very short time, but they transformed into a formidable tool for businesses today, and this came around the COVID pandemic. Now, the evolution, or let us evaluate a little bit what digital advancement in Nigeria has been, the policies, the challenges, and internet fraud, and all of the paradoxes I will be highlighting as we go. Arguably, Africa's biggest economy with significant youth population is well positioned to develop a strong digital economy. You know, the access to digital technology is actually mainly concentrated in the young group, the youth. And this is a huge advantage demographically Nigeria has. One paradox is that we are not fully utilizing this, as you can see later in the internet penetration. Nigeria has, in her own way, made some advances in digital technology in spite of evident challenges and the lack of policy framework and structure. Key advances in Nigeria's digital technology space include the proliferation of mobile cellular communication, the GSM, enhancing connectivity and business efficiency is the precursor to Nigeria's digital revolution. According to the NCC data, Nigeria's tele-density is now 198 million people as of February 2022. This is quite phenomenal if you consider 4 million before the advent of this. Internet penetration, unfortunately, in Nigeria is still below 36% compared to Africa's average of 38% and global average of 65%. Now, if you bring this home closely, you see the paradox. The paradox is that if Nigeria today, with our population, especially the youth population, were to even approximate the global average, the transformation in Nigeria will no longer be talking about Nigeria being a $500 billion economy. We'll be talking about Nigeria being over $1 trillion economy. That's really the kind of impact digital transformation will do for us. And again, highlighting the paradox. Fintech is one area the Nigerian advancement has done very well. And I'd like to say that we can only see this grow. Frankly, if you, some names must be mentioned. The key players will be the floater wave, the payment stack system. And of course, there is the carbon and the bamboo interswitch and the rest of them. These people have done quite a lot, but with the right policy framework, this can only proliferate. In the entertainment industry, we have the Iroko TV, which is dubbed the Netflix of Africa, which started in 2010 and is now one of the world's largest online platform for African entertainment. One of the most recognized and well-respected Africa technology brands, one of Nigeria's most well-funded companies, and it is at the heart of Africa existing technology space. Jobberman recently acquired in a $167 million deal by One Africa Media. It's a portfolio of one online marketplace in one of the sub-Saharan African countries. And this, again, is a Nigerian company. There's the other one, the Andela, which was founded in 2014, and it's one of the Nigeria's marketplace for technologists. And then, of course, you can go on and on. But just to say that Nigeria's e-commerce spending reflects the potential size of our digital economy, which is not properly harnessed. The Nigerian digital economy, as of 2022, is estimated at about $12 billion and is projected to reach $75 billion in revenue per annum by 2025. Again, this is like punching below our weight. If we harness all of the opportunities, we'll be talking about multiples of values in terms of this trade. This is, of course, fueled by the fast-growing youth population, expanding consumer power, and increasing smartphone penetration, which has provided a strong platform for online commerce and financial technology in Nigeria. The global digital economy, of course, I spoke about this earlier, but when you bring this close to Nigeria, even at Nigeria's economy of $500 billion, if you, again, apply the same principles, where digital technology is growing at 2.5 times faster, even Nigeria's average growth today, which unfortunately is as low, below 3%, if you apply the 2.5 times, it shows that it can actually grow at almost 10% as well. And what this then means, and if it represents 15%, it means that the digital economy in Nigeria is about $75 billion. Then if you grow this year on year by 10%, even though it's punching below its weight, you see that this shows a growth of about $7.5 billion year on year, which is quite significant. But then when we harness all of the opportunities, it will grow exponentially. Now, one of the biggest challenges we have in this digital advancement in Nigeria is access to energy. Frankly, I should have spoken about access to energy coming from Seplat energy, but you find that there is absolutely no way there can be digital technology without access to energy. Energy access in Nigeria is so very shameful, unfortunately. A population of over 200 million people, our per capita usage of electricity is as low as 150 kilowatt hour per capita. Global average 2,500. Africa average is even higher than Nigeria average. There is absolutely no way this economy will thrive without access to electricity. So we're all challenged. One of the areas that you can also leapfrog access to energy is, of course, cleaner energy. Today, solar power is there. There is cost, but I believe that one best way to have penetration of internet and access to internet will actually be to begin to embrace cleaner access to energy, especially in the rural areas. And this is very critical if we must advance and transform in our digitization. The second one, of course, is the policy issues. I'm very also happy to say that Nigeria has indeed put in place the National Digital Economy and Policy Strategy that was developed by the Nigerian Communications Commission in line with the presidential directive that was given to the Honorable Minister. Again, this has developed a 10-year roadmap, which is fantastic. And as is always the case in Nigeria, the talent, the brain work, the brain power to do the right things is there. The papers are fantastic, but what is always problematic is walking the talk. And this is, again, the Nigerian paradox. And I'll just give you some of the outlines of the roadmap for Nigeria digitization, which is fantastic. But then you ask yourself, how many of us are even aware of these policies? How many of us are even involved in its implementation? There are 8 pillars. 1 is developmental regulations. 2 is digital literacy and skills. 3 is the solid infrastructure, which is continuously lacking. Service infrastructure, digital service development and promotion, software infrastructure, digital society and emerging technologies, indigenous content development and adaptation. Let me say that one of the things that Arthur Mbanefo Digital Research Center represents is number 7, digital society and emerging technologies. But what is important is for this advancement to happen, we need this replicated, not just in University of Lagos, but indeed all over the country, including villages, town centers, and the rest of them. That is the way to leapfrog digitization and making people more involved. Again, non-implementation of these wonderful pillars represents a paradox by itself. The next, of course, internet fraud, the so-called Yahoo boys. This is really very, very unfortunate. Let me say that the very first time I heard about internet fraud by a Nigerian, I asked a young man what he was doing, and what he told me that he was locked up by EFCC. In fact, I met this boy in EFCC, and he said, so I said, what did you do? He said, I did Yahoo. I said, what is that? I said, that is not an offense. And then I asked the other one, what did you do? He said, I did pharmacy. I said, what is that? But it just tells you how Nigerian talents, if you engage with these youth who involve themselves in hacking the internet, you see the level of brain power and talent they have. But these have been harnessed negatively. And again, that has been made worse by unemployment and the rest of them. So this is a major paradox for us. How can we turn around and harness all of these talents and now begin to have our own internet emancipation in Nigeria? Of course, and this goes right from the curriculum of education at all tiers. I believe that we need to rethink our curriculum and begin to produce people who are not just university graduates and educated people, but those who are employable. Because if we look at the Nigerian population and we say that there is unemployment of over 30%, you find that perhaps more than 50% of these unemployed people are not really employable. So we should begin to retool our youth and people and make them indeed employable, and then make them to be able to access education. And I think this is a very broad topic by itself. For us in Seplat, one of the things we've done as our own contribution in all of the areas of our operation, we made sure that we started what we call the STEM promotion in education, where we get the youth and retrain the teachers and begin to prepare them on science, technology, and mathematics education. I believe that the Nigerian education curriculum has to change completely. If you go to China and India, the reason why a lot of the fastest growing digital transformational things are happening in these areas is because they start very early in mathematics and coding and the rest of them. And I used to challenge a lot of Nigerian youth. When you see them hooked onto their telephones, some of them don't sleep all through the night. They are playing games. And I tell them, I say, look, some other youth are making money off you. There is someone at the background who is spending time coding and preparing these games for which you are having sleepless nights, and they're making money off you. So again, this is a paradox that must be completely taken out of our society. Now, just a brief comment about the Arthur Mbanefo Digital Center in Unilag. And this is obviously making the way for what we must do. And mind you, Odu dreamt this very many years ago. And many people, if you look at his age from point of view of chronology, you say that he's an octogenarian. However, Odu is absolutely young, very youthful intellectually for those who know him. So I think, thank you. So that's why we keep commending this. And this is what the very first, to my knowledge, of privately owned digital research center resource in Nigeria. It was established by Odu through his charitable foundation. The center was set up to embrace a number of things, and I highlight some of them: establish digital facilities to support advanced research and postgraduate studies in Nigeria, encourage research collaboration and provide opportunities for discussion and dissemination of research findings, generate funds for the management of e-library research concerns and general sustenance, be a world-class center for academic research and excellence. You cannot do better than this. I believe that if this is replicated in other universities, quite a lot will happen to our own advantage. What are the Nigerian options for digital advancement? One, the Nigerian Paradox, a country that is a combination of contradictory features and qualities. I will highlight some of these. Nigeria has great potentials to be a world superpower. Our country is rich in human and natural resources. Nigeria's population, we've talked about this, is estimated to be about 300 million by 2050. If we can only harness 60% of this population, which is youthful, which will be 128 million, and for those of them within this age being less than 35 years, thank you very much. I have the T signed, 10 more minutes. I'll keep to it. Obviously, what I'm speaking about here is that 71% penetration in internet and digitization is amongst the youth. So if Nigeria population is mainly predominantly young and youthful, we should take advantage of this. Okay. Now, 2020 IMF report shows that 3 billion people are offline across the world. More than 45% of these are in Africa, and many of them in Nigeria. Again, we need to change this narrative to be able to look at our advancements. Of course, look at education. I've spoken about this before. And one thing that people must hold, any opportunity we have, we must take due advantage of. There is the Yabakon Valley. I think this is something that must be emulated and replicated many other places. And this is part of the things that will abolish the Yahoo syndrome. The policy and the enabling environment, e-government and the rest of them. Let me highlight one of the paradoxes we have. With all of the talents and digital transformation, it is absolutely unacceptable that Nigeria will still be struggling with issues about elections. There is no reason why people will be queuing up to register to get voters' cards. We should be able to, right with your smartphones, register and be able to vote. As far as I'm concerned, this is a deliberate attempt to disenfranchise Nigerians. There is absolutely no reason why there should be a problem. And I think people must rise up to this occasion and begin to change the leadership through voter. It will take time, but it's achievable. Access to energy is one of the areas to transform. Another area, of course, is inclusive access to fast, reliable, and safe and affordable internet, which will help reduce poverty and inequality. The youth can help leapfrog and skip traditional stages of development from digital banking to blockchain, and indeed telemedicine. E-government, I've spoken about this, and electronic voting. What are the future trends in digital transformation? There are 10 key trends for digital transformation. Number one is the pervasive computing. This is computers are all around us, from our smartphones to watches to household appliances. The average smartphone today is more powerful than the supercomputer of 10 years ago. And this kind of pervasiveness is what is required and is now the future trend. The next, of course, is the Internet of Things. This refers to the increasing number of intelligent connected devices and objects that are capable of gathering and transmitting data. The other one, of course, is the big data technology. As the digital transformation progresses, humans will generate masses of data through our daily activities. Businesses can use this data to design better products and services and improve businesses and the rest of them. The next, of course, is the artificial intelligence. Now, there are very many things going on about artificial intelligence, and there is this, what I consider a cliche, that it will be displacing humans. What is required indeed is to retool our skills to be able to prepare ourselves for the future. It's only when you have not retooled and retrained that you will miss this party. And especially for the youth, this is absolutely critical. Okay, so this is artificial intelligence. The next, of course, is the extended reality, the XR paradigm. This is an umbrella term that represents the spectrum of immersive technologies, virtual realities, augmented realities, and mixed realities. This, again, is the trend that is heading in the future. We believe that our experience of the world will increasingly take place in these blur places where people can stay in remote areas and indeed try things in other remote areas. This is happening. Of course, blockchain. We know about cryptocurrencies. We know about people who are protesting about it and regulations. Again, the world cannot, it is the train that has started motion and cannot be stopped. 3D printing, 7, and then of course, the gene editing. It is now possible to alter the mechanisms of DNAs to prevent diseases and indeed prepare for telemedicine and the rest of them. Nanotechnology and material sciences, these are all of the things for the future. Access to energy solution is critical for all of this to happen. Then, of course, the takeaway, as far as I'm concerned, Nigeria has had tremendous opportunity to digitize and transform this economy, but the destiny must be taken by ourselves. It is not something for us to speak. It is not about putting the right policies or the best, which Nigerians are very good at, but it is about walking the talk. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor and privilege to have delivered this lecture. And I have said before, I'm not an expert. I've only merely touched on areas that will provoke our thoughts. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we want to take some words from our benefactor. I know listening to our benefactor, we have words of wisdom from the grapevine, which would surely move us forward. Ladies and gentlemen, our dear benefactor, a round of applause for him, please.
Thank you very much. May I first and foremost crave your indulgence to speak from where I'm standing. That's a long walk. Thank you. Sitting? Yes, sir. I'm aware that I'm near the chair, so if need arises, thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all this morning, that if I have to conclude this fantastic day by going through the protocol again, I will need to mention every single person that is in this room, because that's how important every person here is to me. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity that you have given. But nevertheless, protocol demands that I recognize the chairman of the occasion. I recognize the host, because without the host, we wouldn't have been here. The chairman of the occasion, actually, as I said, I called him up and said, are you going to be the chairman? I didn't say you will be the chairman. I didn't say you will be. I said, would you like to? I didn't even say, would you like to be? I said, would you be the chairman? And you said, it will be a pleasure. And not only that, that's also is something that you wish to do. So having done that so ably, and then with the compliment that has become attached by, shall I say, by general consensus, that he who chairs the meeting writes the paper. Quite frankly, I tell you, it's a hell of a problem writing papers, and papers that have been written so far for the first, second, and now the third lecture series have been fantastic. High class, world class, and very, very informative, and relative to our country's needs, which is very, very important. All I need to say, without repeating what Dr. Orjiako has ably packaged together, is that having said everything that needs to be said, we just need a government that wants to be part of the world. Full stop. If we don't get people who want to rule this country and who want to be a part of this world, then we'll be left out, because I've just spent 3 months in Dubai, not like this. I was for a reason. And I just came back less than a week ago. And you find that there the vision of the leadership have become so implemented that even you go to a restaurant now, if you don't have a telephone, you cannot read the menu. Yes, you cannot read the menu because you have to go to the bar and then look at it and read it from your telephone, and little thing. Everything there. In fact, newspapers are dying. So many things are dying that we're used to. So all one is praying for is that despite the fact that we like some of our relations to be leaders of this country, we need people who have this country in their mind. The only reason this place became possible was the fact that I saw the future, because of the opportunities that have been given. I seem to have seen the future and then discussed this extensively with people. I remember after the Nigerian Civil War, when the Murtala Obasanjo government came in, the computers in this country, which were huge things like houses, the one that the government in Enugu had, were all returned to the senders. And the one here in this University of Lagos, but the Ford Foundation had put one in the, and that they were forced by the government to return the computers to people. And they were so ignorant. I teased Obasanjo and the rest of them about it. They're so ignorant that they said that the computer sitting by itself there in the room is spying on Nigeria. I said, for goodness sake, what should they be spying? But that was where we were in 1975, 76. Things have changed, and they're changing so fast. And this brings the issue that we have also to be aware of our own environment, because we don't seem to be conscious of our environment. This COVID thing, coronavirus and COVID and things like that, may have just been introduced to fast track some aspects of the shall I say, I'm looking for the appropriate word, because words can be very difficult. I'm looking for the appropriate word. The whole thing is that it's been done to create an environment that will force people to introduce many of these opportunities that have come out. Because if you now evaluate what has happened from 2019 to now, 3 or 4 years, you really don't see. But to do this thing, they have to break walls. Businesses have been destroyed. People have been pauperized. And a lot of things have happened in the world, but we're not talking about it. But the bottom line is that they have moved forward. And where they're going to, we don't know. But we are blind enough to follow whatever direction you. So there are quite a lot of things that we have to be aware of. At the end of the day, the bottom line still remains that we need a government that really wants to lead. As when in the 50s, we had, some of us were given opportunities. What we were saying is we want to be, the kind of Nigerians we wanted to be was such that each and every one of us, I remember at that time, had our own vision of being a good Nigerian and being a Nigerian that should be proud of the country. Today, I think that is lost. I have no other choice but to Nigeria as my country. But at the end of the day, I'm ashamed in some environment, in some circumstances, to be a Nigerian. We should not be. We should not be. We should not be. Each and every one of us has got an opportunity to live our lives the way we want to live it. But at the end of the day, please, please, please serve if you are given the opportunity to serve. It's a question of function and opportunity. Dr. Orjiako has had this tremendous opportunity and he has delivered. So did Chief Ojo. He delivered, and they researched, they worked, and they come up. His package, this document, people will not realize it until they've had the opportunity of reading it again in their quiet moments. It contains a lot of information. This contains quite a lot of information, and I hope and wish that many of us will find time to read this, not as it relates to this center, but as it relates to this country. Why can't we have a basic thing? Like in this country, we do not have electricity, and we are already producing a basic electricity. Why? Why? There's no reason. There's no reason. Government is not interested in our education system. The Ministry of Education sits on one side, the Ministry of Labor sits on the other side, and they're all the time talking about, I don't know. I don't want to get myself involved in their little politics. Very, very toxic politics that we are engaged in. Politics of individualism. You know, what does my friend Bode think about me, or what the other person says about me or says about my family? What is the policy that we do have on an issue? We don't have. Whether we are going to have a substantive military system, nobody is discussing it. We don't know, but we have individuals who seem to have opportunities using the internet system. Very young, brilliant people are taking advantage of all this at this point in time. But at the end of the day, all I'm asking is that whatever interest you have, try and live your life the way you've been brought up to live your life, not the way you think you should live your life as an APC or as a PDP. So those people, I don't know what the hell they're doing. You know, I don't know what the hell they're doing, but God bless them. You know, God bless them, because by the time they find out that this country is bigger than they are, it will be too late for us. And it's already too late for us. They just have to find out that this country is much, much, much bigger than anyone who wants to rule it. You know, because if you want to rule something you don't even understand, you don't even know the people. A country that doesn't teach history to its children. I mean, what future do you have? You have no blood future. You don't know where you are coming from. How do you know where you are going? You don't know where you are coming from. How do you know where you are going? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for sort of moving off the rail. But this is the problem of giving opportunities to some person who really feels very, very strongly about this country, who had opportunities. You served when I was appointed to create states by General Abacha. I'm not a politician, never been involved in state creation, but I went out and I worked on it and structured my program with my friends who were members. Most of them were helpful, but majority of them were not helpful. And most and majority is for you to decide. So, but here we are. People have to be prepared to go out and do something, make a contribution, because you're part of a society. We're not on our own. We're not on our own. We're not on our own. We just have to realize that we are not on our own. We're a part of a group. We're part of the damn thing called the world. And if we do not behave as part of the world, we'll be left behind, as we've already been left behind. Almost. We'll be left behind. But we're part of a group. So thank you immensely for your presence. I hope you will come next year, and I hope I will have the opportunity of also still being on my 2 legs and being here and being here next year, you know, so that we can share this fellowship again. This is tremendous. I thank you all for making the time, particularly now in Lagos. It's not easy in the whole country. Not only is it's not easy from the point of view of discipline and so on, so, but your safety, your safety is not easy. You might come out worse than America now, might come out and then you don't know whether you're going to be able to go back home. But this is where we are. But at least let us have some plan. Let us have where we are going. Let us and our children be able to. This is not in the program of this country. This cannot happen in this country. It is possible. It is possible. It is possible. But when a handful of people think that this country belongs to them, good luck to them. Good luck to them. But at the end of the day, please, 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 do what you can for, not just for yourself, but for this country, because this country needs the help of every single one of you. Again and again, I thank you, and I thank you, and I thank you immensely for being here. Thank you.
You may sit down. Thank you. Thank you very much, Uju. Thank you very, very much for those wise words and saying it the way it is, which you are very well known for. Ladies and gentlemen, I think in the interest of time, this has been a brilliant lecture, and I know plenty to talk about. Like Odu said, people take this, read it, digest it. There's so much here. But I think we can take just 1 or 2 questions. And please, no lectures. We've had the lectures, did a good job and all that. So just a quick, short question, which he can answer to. As the celebrant, I take advantage of knowing when he was in secondary school. So I will just ask a question. Sorry to disobey you, Cadence. When you see a person of the stature of the Odu, who he is was imbued in him from the primary and secondary school I attended, not the university I attended. We had the privilege in the 50s to go to a secondary school run by missionaries. The only secondary school I know where the authorities, after school hours, allows the students to run the system. No teacher, lights out, prep, feeding time, went to sleep, all run by students. In that clockwork, if you're from 1, you have to respect it from 2 persons. So Chief Arthur from school, he stood a colossus. When he's on duty as a prefect,
God help you if you come late to any version. So we are trained in such a discipline that barely up to 3 or 4 years ago, he used to attend our old boys meeting, even where people who were not born when he was in school was there. That shows humility. The school taught us integrity. The poorer students feed themselves, but organizing themselves in groups with a prefect, food prefect. The missionaries give up, the kitchen is there, everything is there. But you organize yourself and pay as little as possible, contribute and feed yourself. Throughout my years in school, no student embezzled his food money. That's where we got integrity. That is one. Another point I want to make is that we are all guilty. We set up structures. The government will set up, makes you a director general of technology. You are a labor minister, science and technology minister, university, secondary school. We use that to create pockets of serfdoms, empires to ourselves. How many times did any university in this country talk to a secondary school? None. Everybody's exists. So we are beautiful lecturers, sir. And that's what I've seen in so many years. I retired from public service almost 26 years ago, so I know what I'm talking about. Your lecture could be a study, a textbook in any institution. You know what we are doing, sir? We are a tree. Nigeria is a tree. The shoots and the flowers and leaves are hanging. The roots are there. Got a stunted growth. The rest of the stem is not feeding the root, or the root is not feeding the rest of the stem. So are there. We think that we develop from the top. Development comes from the roots. Sir, the system is such that even the educated people, the faculties of education, directors of school, provost, education for them is collecting a number of children and lecture to them and certify them and send them out. We are not left, quote me if I'm wrong. Nigeria today in 2022, go to schools, the manner the children are taught, who are still trapped in the Industrial Revolution. We are not left, and we are at the 4th level, and we think we are going to school. I'm not a problem. Any child who graduates today in Nigeria in the next 5 years with that has nothing to do. And yet, we spend 4 million for a child in a nursery school. And no parent has entered the school system and said, I want to know what my children are learning. No, they're in this school. They're in this school. I pay 4 million, I pay 2 million. Children go to school, they're not learning. Yes, we have everyone carries a phone. What are the phone? That's what the school should have done. Don't say don't bring a phone, but teach them the other value of the school. I leave it at that. You know what? What I wanted to say is that Chief Arthur's generation, my generation, and perhaps next generation after us, we were taught how to learn. Our first justices of this country, our first permanent secretaries stopped at primary 6, most of them. The other education is from open source. They studied at home. If you remember Correspondence College, who's the hall? Best. They studied at home and became what they are. Today, a child leaves school. He said he's doing nothing. He can't know how to relearn the skill he had in school. This is a failure of the system altogether. Politics is such a serious word in Nigeria that we have left it to politicians, and they're going to lead us into perdition. Sir, the school system is dead. Talk of technology, theoretical, based on energy. The resistance to election and all that is because when you do not have a leader, vision, talk of Malaysia, you talk of this country. If you check it, the vision is the vision of the leadership. It doesn't come from when you have someone who has no vision. It's a blind leading all of us. I'll stop here. As I weep for education of this country and everything we are doing is a charade. Challenge me anytime, professors. Challenge me on a debate on this. We are sitting in first century education. Children sitting on chairs, a conveyor belt, certificate, examination. These are detractors. They are not education. Examination is the most serious danger to our education system. Certification without skill is the most dangerous commission for generation. And they are born.
Thank you very much, sir. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we would allow the distinguished senator to make a brief comment before we round up. We need to be conscious of time for those who will be going to the mosque.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to congratulate my neighbor, ABC Orjiako. I was here at the last event. I've been here since the first. Odu is 3 years old today. And we give glory to God for his life. What I want to suggest, Mr. Chairman, is that we should endeavor, I don't know what the management is doing about this, the board, to compile all these series of lectures into maybe in the 5th year, compile it into a booklet. There are so many wonderful things that I had this morning from the chairman, from Odu himself. Honestly, we cannot but, take off from where we were some few years ago. For the first time in over 2 years, I went to church on Sunday in Parkview, only to come back home and read of the disaster in my own senatorial district. I come from Imeri, a small village in Ose local government. And Owo is part of my senatorial district. How are they saying we should not go to, places of worship again? I said, if you are angry with the government, go and fight the government. Why do you have to go to the church and kill innocent people? I quite agree with, I'm not sure who said we should get our PVC. Get our PVC and change the system. I was getting tired, but I won't be tired if Odu is still walking around. I won't be, Honestly, we can change the system. I'm a PDP Board of Trustees member. I've been for many years. But I must confess to you, I saw the convention, the primaries of ADC, and I was quite impressed with what I saw. Well, I thank you very much, organizers of these Arthur Mbanefo lectures, and I pray that Baba will continue to, I call him Baba Gbalagba, he will live many more years, and we all celebrate him next year, in Jesus' name. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from our own dear Senator Olajumoke, and that's the chairman for the next year's lecture. Thank you very much, sir. We have set a tradition here. So Sir, as you are chairing, you're beginning to start thinking of who will be the next lecturer if you don't want to give the lecture. Thank you very much. We promised you will not take more than 2 hours. We are already behind schedule. So we are going to wrap up the next 2 items together. We have some fantastic friends of Arthur Mbanefo, people who have made it possible. This lecture series was our intention to immortalize what Baba has done for the University of Lagos, and with the general support of people like Senator Bodiola Jumoke, Dr. ABC Orjiako right from the start. We've also had the Bank of Industry supporting us, and we've had Dr. Yemi Kaduso, our chairman for today. He promised me something after the lecture. Do I have that, sir? The center? Thank you very much, sir. I know Mamu is here to remind you. Yes, sir. Thank you. We look forward to that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take the next 2 items. Concurrently, we are going to recognize, we have already recognized those who have been supporting us. But I want to start by identifying somebody who has been in the University of Lagos decades. He took over from Professor Rahman Bello, our immediate past Vice Chancellor, as he took over as Deputy Vice Chancellor Management Services and saw to the completion of this project. He will be exiting from the University of Lagos this year, and we do not want him to go without him being recognized. I'm going to ask Dr. Tolu Adewale to kindly help us appreciate on behalf of AMDRIC, Professor Duro Oni, former Deputy Vice Chancellor, Management Services. So please, on behalf of AMDRIC, help us. Oh, please kindly move forward so that we can give you. Now.
Good afternoon. Standing on the existing protocol, on behalf of the entire Arthur Mbanefo Foundation and the Digital Research Center, and the chairman of today's occasion and the guest speaker, I would like to present to Professor Duro. Thank you very much. What I will not say here is my relationship with Professor Duro many years ago when it was Center for Black CBAC. Thank you. I will say later. Thank you.
I must have been in the spirit. I didn't know there was a connection. I will now invite our board member and the university librarian, Professor Yetunde Said, to kindly help us appreciate Senator Bodiola Jumoke for his consistency and his general support for the hosting of this lecture series. Professor Said, sir, please. And maybe you can remove the mask for the picture, sir.
All right, thank you very much, sir. And so, you're not just a friend of Chief Arthur Mbanefo. You have been a very good friend of the center. And so on behalf of the Vice Chancellor and management of the University of Lagos, the chairman and members of the board of Arthur Mbanefo Digital Research Center will present this to you for your contribution and being a very good friend of the center. Thank you very much, sir.
Our next honoree this afternoon is our chairman for today, and Professor Ogundipe will be making the presentation on behalf of the board of AMDRIC. I never knew how close Dr. Kadoso was to Baba until something happened in this center about 2-3 years ago. Dr. Kadoso left everything he wanted to do that day, spent the entire day with Baba. That is what is called love personified. Thank you, sir.
On behalf of the board of the Arthur Mbanefo Digital Research Center and the ODU and the university community, we want to thank you for being a very wonderful chairman and for accepting to be our next lecturer. Thank you very much. And for being a real good friend of this center. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you. Our amiable Vice Chancellor, Professor Ogundipe, though not here physically, but I know is watching this program being live streamed. He has been a strong supporter of the center. Every time there's a function here and he has to come, we will say, Dr. Opaye, we have to maintain this place. This is one of the unique things we have on this campus. There's no letter we write. In fact, sometimes he comes, he sees something like the marble on the courtyards were cracking. He came and said, Dr. Opaye, come, this thing must be fixed. We can't afford anything to go the other way. So we sincerely want to appreciate Professor Ogundipe, and Professor Chukwu will do us the honors of collecting the award that's going to be presented by the board chairman, Mr. Ernest Ebi. On behalf of the board, we appreciate it.
Prof, on behalf of the center, we'd like to present this award to the Vice Chancellor for his massive support to the center. He has played a very significant role in the support and the transformation that we're seeing here today. So give him a warm regards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I almost had sleepless nights tracking Dr. Orjiako. In fact, I knew I became a pest. So I attempted to stop, but it was very difficult for me. And I was following him in the media. So I knew this man's hands were full. But just when I was saying, when we get there, if there's no lecture, we'll start playing all the videos of programs we've had at the center. And we will start asking people to talk to us about what Baba has done. But it salvaged the occasion. What you have you now is the draft of the lecture. He has promised us that the more dignified version of the lecture will be properly printed by him and given to us so that we can distribute to you. So thank you very much for being part of this occasion. And thank you for opening your minds to the paradox of this country. Together we will make Nigeria better in Bapa's lifetime. So may I now, with all due diligence, invite nobody else but Professor Lucian Chukwu, in his capacity as acting Vice Chancellor, to kindly help us appreciate our guest lecturer for today. He will be joined by his very beautiful and lovely wife to receive the award.
The Order of Onitsha, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, no doubt that we have had a very great time here this afternoon. It has been a time well spent. And this is thanks to our own Dr. ABC Orjiako, that has many sides. Loyal magnet, boardroom guru, but today has also confirmed stamp his feet into the digital era. Gradually has shown native. On behalf of the University of Lagos, the Arthur Mbanefo Digital Research Center, the staff and students, we present this plaque and appreciation of award for the beautiful, insightful lecture that you have delivered today at the third Arthur Mbanefo lecture series of APDRIC. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Orjiako has been supporting the center right from the first lecture. And I want to use this as an opportunity to play Oliver Twist for other members of the Odu family and friends. In fact, the amount of funds, the quality of funds and materials used in this building is apparent to only those of us who are managing this place. You will not believe that one light bulb is 1,250. Last night, 2 of the bulbs went out. Luckily, we had the stock we had bought. We spent 250,000 buying a box. So my appeal, sirs and mass, is that kindly continue to support us at this center. This lecture series we're able to fund by the funds generated from using these facilities. I hope I will be leaving the center very soon as director. So for whoever is coming after me to be able to continue to maintain this facility, there's need to have a pool of funds such that the structures in this space will continue to be well maintained. You will not, to change any door handle cost us about 35,000. We've had to change like 4. So it's a lot of money maintaining this facility. We want to paint, we don't have the funds. When I got here, I reached out and Kaiser Plascom generously painted for us. And when I found out the cost was about 11 million. So I cannot ask them again. I'm just asking. I'm just asking that friends of Odu, please kindly help have a pool of funds so that the next director will continue with the good work that has been set. We already have the template for the next lecture. Dr. Kodeso is our lecturer and Senator Olajumoke is the chair. Thank you very much for accepting. God bless you. And I want to appreciate my immediate past Vice Chancellor, Professor Bello. I learned so much from him. He's the one that taught me these skills I just used. And to talk to us for 2 minutes. We will not be cutting the cake today because tomorrow is his birthday. But this cake is going to his house. If you know the address, you are welcome to eat. All right.
I just want to make an appeal, very simple appeal. We sit around and we look at ourselves, but we don't know what the center means to some individuals. You know. Here in front of me every year, Professor Bello sits in front of me here. Dr. Ikpaye, I'm making this appeal to you and your board. But for Professor Bello sitting here, I don't know that this center would have been built in the University of Lagos. Dr. Bello was the Deputy Vice Chancellor at the time. And he took even just my imaginary picture of the center, which I had constructed with the architects at the time, and put it in the university calendar for the whole of that year. And he kept visiting me at home and saying, please make sure you give the center to the University of Lagos. It's important to say this because nobody knows it's between us. And when this place was under construction, every Saturday that I came here to supervise the work, he left his house and came and joined me. And so he's been a part and parcel of this organization. And not only that, he has continued to come. You know, he can tell you about this university, about this center, and quite a few things that I sought his advice at the time and what we did. And I would like Dr. Ekpaye, if you just listen to me for 1 second, because this appeal is for you. I'd like you to show some love to him as far as this center is concerned, because he has shown that he is a dedicated person, that knowing the contribution he has made to this center. I'll be very grateful if you do something. Just getting vice chancellors that came behind him and being recognized, and 2 of you are not recognizing him. No, because the truth must be spoken. If you don't say it, nobody is going to say it. You know, nobody, there's so many things. Well, thank you very much, because that's what you just done is giving me an assurance that he has been taken care of and that all this is noticed. But I thought it was very important, even if he got one every year while he's around. You know, while he's around, that will be a lot of fun, you know. So, because people do things and nobody talks about them. And there you go. I was a person who brought education tax, for example, for the benefit for solving the ASU problem in 1992. At the time, we did that and solved that problem at the time. And today, that fund is now being used for all types of things called tertiary funds, some nonsense. You know, and nobody knows, you know. So, Madam, thank you very much.
May I now invite the co-chair of the board, Professor Folashade Ogunshola, immediate past DVC Development Service, to kindly appreciate everyone on behalf of the board and say 1 or 2 things.
Thank you very much. I think we will all agree that we have had a very insightful lecture today, and it has been very thought-provoking and certainly showing us the direction to go. I will, on the behalf of the board, thank Dr. Orjiako for a fantastic lecture. You actually said it will be thought-provoking, and it was, and so we're still grappling with it. And certainly you've thrown a challenge to the university system. How are we going to ensure that our products are fit for purpose and are viable in the 21st century so that this country can truly take its place amongst the Committee of Nations? I promise you that's where we're going. We've already started. You just haven't seen it. On behalf of the board, again, I'd like to thank the chairman for today. Thank you for directing us and keeping us as close to time as possible. We thank our benefactor, Chief Arthur Mbanefo, for what he has done here and what he has started. This is a movement. I truly believe that if more people did what you are doing, the university system would not be in trouble. And we hope that your example will show others the direction to go. We need legacy, people who see the public institutions as legacies, that want to work and build this country. We need more institutions like that are strong, and it's only through people like you that we can get this done. I thank the Vice Chancellor for his support always of this center. I will thank my co-chair, or my chair, of whom I am co. Thank you for leading us very well. Thank you for your wisdom. I want to thank all our friends here. I want to thank the members and family of, the friends and family of Chief Arthur Mbanefo for your support. We're very happy to see you, and we hope you'll drop in more times to see what's going on in the center. We do try to do quite a number of interesting things, and we will keep inviting you. So do come, not just for this lecture, but for other events. The university community, thank you very much for your presence. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you always for coming when we invite you, and we will try to live up to your expectations and surpass them. We'd also like to thank those who support the center financially. We have thanked some of them, but I think we forgot to mention MTN Foundation, who have promised us that they would be a part of the Friends of the center. We find that those who support us don't do it once, they keep coming back, because we do try to surpass whatever expectations they have. So I hope you've all had a fantastic time today. Thank you very much for coming, and have a lovely day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you so much. I think the day is more than fast spent, and it's been a very, very worthwhile engagement today. Extremely nice. And there's really not much more to say than to thank all of you again, because you have all, in one form or the other, contributed towards having the celebrant here be what he is. And I think for that alone, you really deserve a special round of applause. I would like to call on, for closing prayer, I'd like to call on Professor Zayed to give the closing prayer, after which the event is officially declared closed. However, you are welcome to all gather around the cake with Odu to take a picture. So please, Professor Zayed, thank you.
Shall we please rise up as we take the closing prayer? And so, our Heavenly Father, we just want to say thank you. We thank you for giving us the opportunity to yet gather. We thank you, King of Glory, for the life of Chief Arthur Mbanefo. We thank you for 92 years of your faithfulness upon this man. Father, we give you praise and we give you all the honor. We thank you for men and women gathered here today, that they will bless your name. And so, Heavenly Father, King of Glory, even as we depart from now here, King of Glory, we pray that we will not depart from your presence. And for King of Glory, for Chief Arthur Mbanefo, we ask that the Lord Almighty will bless and keep you. We ask that the Lord Almighty will be gracious unto you, and he will shine his eyes upon you, and he will bring his countenance right upon you, and he will give you peace. We ask, my Father and my God, that the rest of your years shall be the best of your years. In the name of the Lord Jesus. Next time we will gather here, Almighty King of Glory, the story will be, come and see what the Lord has done, even for this country, Nigeria. We give you praise, Heavenly Father. Blessed be your name. In Jesus' name we have prayed.
Can we be upstanding while we take the national anthem and the university anthem?
Patron, Nigeria's call obey to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past never be in vain. To serve with heart and might, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. The best university anthem, University of Lagos anthem. 1, 2, go. University of Lagos, the rising sun, a fountain of excellence, a citadel of learning by the lagoon front, home of sound mind. Indeed and in truth, we rise beyond the skies. Our mission is to uphold a great heritage. We are the nation's pride. Quality scholarship and excellence, great in knowledge and character, producing exemplary global leaders. God bless you, Unilag. Indeed and in truth, we rise beyond the skies. Our mission is to uphold a great heritage. We are the nation's pride. Indeed and in truth, we rise beyond the skies. Our mission is to uphold a great heritage. We are the nation's pride. Greater cockeye, greater cockeye, greatest of the greatest of the greatest of the greatest are cockeye. So if you didn't attend University of Lagos and you felt intimidated, you could be University of Lagos by association.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please can we join the celebrant round the cake?